Right.
That's Reggie Johnson, Eugene Moore, coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. Eugene, a lot of things happening in the basketball world. We have the draft. We have the Hawks finally breaking up that backcourt. It looks like they've been trying to break up for quite some time now. And we also have crazy free agency period. So let's dive in, going from the draft. I don't think we've been on since then. What are your thoughts? No real big surprises, in my opinion, when I look at how things played out. Ricochet, forward that we needed, I think he's going to fit in pretty good, in my opinion. At least if you look at his tape. But the problem is, if you're as old as I am, is you see a lot of these guys, and some of these people, this is the most famous they'll ever be, is in the draft. You never know how they're really going to play out until they actually come out and play with the other players, if some of these other players, and see how they mesh.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on how it played out? Let me scroll through here for people. I don't really see anything here that jumps out as being a surprise. They had Reed Sheppard as the number 2 prospect on the board, the Hawks did. So maybe that was a surprise for some people. Maybe not a surprise they took who they took, but the second on their board was Reed Sheppard. What are your thoughts on that?
I would kind of, I don't know, just with the two top guys. Again, like you said, we're not ever going to know until they get in. But it's just been kind of this, everything we kind of have been hearing about them is kind of underwhelming, right? I don't know. I'm not too excited. So at least with Reed, you know what you're getting.
You mean everything with the guy that we took with Ricochet?
Yeah. It's just
okay.
Everything.
So you're underwhelming. So you're not really blown out the water with that pick.
No. I know Jay Billis has said some things. I know Jay Billis is more of a college guy. He's not more on the international circuit. So, but when a guy described as kind of athletic, I just don't get excited about that. I don't know. I would have rather had Reed Sheppard in there, or even Clingan. At least you got a rim protector that can be impactful. We just don't know when this guy's going to be able to play. That's the thing. It's like with Sheppard, he could play day one. Not starting for you, but he's in your rotation. Clingan's in your rotation. So it's just, I don't know. And it's, we all knew this is going to be the weak draft. So I know he's the number 1 pick, but it really pretty much what equates to the 7th to number 10, 7th through 10th pick. So it's just hard to get excited or something like that.
So your pick would have been Reed Sheppard if it was your pick.
Well, Sheppard,
or would it have been Clingan? Who would have been your pick if it was your pick?
If I'm keeping Trey, it would have been Clingan. I just think, like you said, if we're gonna hang on to Trey at least through the All-Star break, I want to see kind of what that, because let's just face it, that the lobs that Trey does, that kind of that in between, you don't know if it's a shot, you don't know if it's a lob, that'd be pretty awesome. And just what the Clingan could definitely just help out on that defensive liability side. Again, I'm not sure he's going to be a great scorer, but I think he could just be that rim protector guy that you're missing, and that's what we kind of need if we're gonna, if we're not gonna have any, defense at that backcourt, which we currently don't. Right? I'm not saying Murray was a defense stopper either, but Trey's.
I think this pick, they were hoping his pick would help with that. They're saying that there's supposed to be some defense 3-and-D guys that they're kind of hoping that he turns into. He's length was 6'9", 6'10" from what I've been hearing. Yeah. So they're hoping that he turns into that. Maybe there is a prospect. I think one of the biggest issues is that going into this draft, nobody knows what any of these guys are going to turn into.
Correct.
And there was no real separator. So it's making it a harder for people to say, well, it's going to be this player, then this player, then this player. It's going to be somebody. And I hope that's somebody.
Like I said, I like what the Rockets got. I like what, if you go down the list, I like even like what the Lakers got. The Lakers got a guy they could plug it right away and play. It's like they got guys that could be in the rotation. And I feel like
the Rockets, Reed Sheppard, of course.
Yeah,
that was second on the Hawks board according to them. Yeah, so he'll be an amazing player.
And even with Minnesota trading to get Castle, that guy's just a shooter. It's like it's a guy you can plug in to your rotation. Again, there's probably not a ton of maybe there may be an all-star in this. There may be a all-star in this thing, but I would just rather have gone for maybe traded back. I know they were trying to trade back, and maybe they didn't get the picks or the compensation they were looking for. But I don't know. Maybe you felt like you had to make a somewhat kind of splash pick since you had the number one pick, versus if you start number 3, it's like when you had the number 1, number 2 pick, you kind of have like, well, I feel like I have to make a splash pick. Now you're going from 3 to whatever. You're like, oh, I can just kind of draft to whatever meets my team at the moment.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting because I think they may have tried. A lot of people say that they've tried. If you listen to what some of the pundits have talked about, but
Right.
It's not easy in a draft where nobody really has separated, and people are feeling like, well, I'll just settle for the guy I get in a draft like this. There's no use in using any future draft capital to try to move up in this
Correct.
draft. So probably wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Right.
Let's go to trading DeJounte, because I think that this is something that people have been talking about for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it didn't surprise me that he got traded. It surprised me what he got traded for. I was hoping for a better deal than what we got. But I mean, I guess it was breaking up the backcourt that didn't seem to work to begin with, and getting back into the draft, which I know that's something that you wanted to do.
Right. The next year's draft.
So what are your thoughts on it before I go in there?
I mean, it's what we needed to do, right? We had to break it up, and we probably weren't getting the package we were hoping to get for Trey. And who knows what that package is? I mean, we may be thinking he's more overvalued at this point, right? And I just don't know what your expectations. I don't know what the.
I mean, this is 4 players. I mean, in theory, and
right?
We got two firsts. Larry Nance Jr. I just, it's okay.
Love me some Larry Nance Jr.
I mean, 5 guys. My bad. I didn't even see EJ in there.
Yeah,
EJ Little. I'm not sure who that is. I heard the kid Dyson Daniels was an early draft pick not too long ago.
Yeah, like I said, we got some role players that kind of fill out our bench, which we kind of need, right? We need some more guys out the bench. But the big thing was to get in that 2020 the draft, next year's draft. That 2027 pick, it's like whatever. But the big thing is, it's like we can't afford not to be in next year's draft. We had to find a way to get back in, because next year's draft is the one you don't want to miss out on.
Well, going back into the trade situation, I think they were saying that it was easier for them to trade DeJounte because of his contract was more favorable. Yep. He had a more favorable contract to trade than Trey would have had. So maybe it was an easier situation for them to, and maybe they also just believe in Trey and still think that, hey, we'll run it back with Trey one more time, see if we give him some more people, maybe give him some more ammo here with some of these younger players. Do you think that's maybe a thought?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we're getting to be one of those teams in purgatory, right? I just don't. I don't.
that sucks, man. Rebuild land, man. That's what rebuild land. Here we come. At that point, might as well just blow the team up. I mean, what's the point of keeping it together?
Right. If I'm in the same conversation as the Bulls, I mean, at least the Wizards. They're. I mean, I don't know what I don't even know the Wizards are doing. Tell me, do what the Wizards are doing. They were actually trying to they were getting back in this draft. It's like, did anyone tell them that this was like the worst draft? But no, it doesn't matter. So if we're starting to get the Wizard conversation, the Wolves conversation, the Raptors, what is Toronto doing? They signed Scotty Barnes to an extension, and like, could you guys waited to see?
That was a mega extension too, man. We might get when we get into our free agent. Hopefully, we'll go over a few of that. I'll pull that up. That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
But he's not a bad player,
He's not.
He doesn't suck.
He doesn't suck, but I don't know what they're doing, right? I don't know what I don't know what their blueprint is. I mean, I know we're going to get the free agency, and we can look how the Knicks bypassed us. And when we went to the Eastern Conference Finals, we were better than the Knicks. We are not. We are nowhere near better than the Knicks. At least the Knicks, like, you could see their blueprint. You could see what they're doing. They got the guys that they need. They got the star that they need, and they build around them. And we just
I like them getting Bridges. That's a good look.
Right. So it's just I don't know what we are. We're in that purgatory. I don't know what we are, and I don't know what we're running it back with, other than Trae Young. And why? I just don't understand the why. If we're just going to be, we're going to be a playing team again, right? We're just slightly
No
out.
trust in the kid. No, in the kid we just drafted. I mean, we drafted him. We drafted another kid from Serbia. That's pretty good. No trust in them.
Until I see it, no. Until it's like, again, there was nobody in this. Like I said, it was a bunch of role players, and maybe like you said, maybe these other guys they'll pan out. And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe the number one pick we got, he'll be a role player, and that'll be, and again, people will be disappointed. People will be disappointed because
wow.
They'll be disappointed. But look at the playoffs and look how many teams that need those guys off the bench. So I don't know. Again, I'm projecting way down the road, but
goodness gracious, man! Like if that's what we have to look forward to, like maybe because you didn't even say that definitively he'll be a role player. You said maybe he will be a role player. That's just a depressing outlook on things, man. As far as I think, you know what it is, Eugene. It's got to see these guys play. I think it's just the bottom line,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
we just got to see these guys play because I don't think he's going to be horrible. I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think I think he has the ability to be good from if you watch some of his tape from overseas, but it's always interesting to see how that translates. So let's move on to free agency because there's a lot to talk about there, and we'll stay. I think we'll stay here on Fadeaway World. I think let's stay here. All right, Tyrese Maxey knows. There's no surprise here, right?
Oh, God, no.
No surprise here.
Never a surprise.
They were just waiting to sign his contract.
Yeah. Yep.
204, 5-year for the people who can't see on screen. 5-year, 204 with the 76ers. But this was no surprise. Like deals like this, you're just kind of waiting to get done. I don't even see the point of even grading deals like this.
Why?
The Klay Thompson situation was interesting.
That's very interesting. That's an interesting
because they said he could have stayed with the Lakers, or he could have stayed in Cali, I should say, and signed with the Lakers. Chose not to. I think that he went to a better contending team, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe the 3-year 50 isn't what people were expecting, and maybe he probably could have got a little bit more money than this if he had signed a few other places. But why, if he can sign with a team that was just in the finals last year, right?
Do I sign with the playing team or do I sign with the team that went to the finals? Let me see. I think you made the right decision. And yeah, the Lakers were offering more money. So this is about, again, you and I had this, I think we texted about this. This is all going to be down to does he do the JJ Watt and go sign with the Cardinals, or does he go sign with the 49ers? In my opinion, he wouldn't sign with the 49ers or the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever top tier you want to call him for an NFL comp. But yeah, no brainer.
No brainer. Wow. Another no brainer. Derek White remains in Boston. A 4-year, 126 deal with Boston Celtics. This is no brainer as well. I think when you have just won the championship, you also have a lot of capital to just kind of do whatever for a year or two here. And especially if it was guys that were already on the team and they're not killing you, and it looked like they were remotely worth the deal, you're going to have to make that happen, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Derek White, again, he was a guy, when they traded for him, kind of had those deers in headlights looks in one of those first kind of playoff series. And now he's just he's like one of the best blocking guards in the NBA and in the playoffs. It's just like
all NBA defensive second team.
Yeah. He's
second
just
straight year. Not
phenomenal.
Bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you said, they're champ. You bring everybody back. No, there's no reason to do anything with that team.
Tobias Harris in Detroit. Now, it's unfortunately, I don't know.
Why?
Okay, I don't know if it's the uniform here that was making you laugh there, or maybe because he's in Detroit. Detroit's just not a great team right now. Yeah. But it's listen. Every team's got to start somewhere, and maybe he can help them in some way. Cade Cunningham is not terrible, and Detroit doesn't have terrible players. They're worse than what I would think they or thought they would be. And I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out, man. With I think they hired Bickerstaff too.
is a better coach. I think a
Cleveland.
better coach that knows how to use Cunningham. That'll be a better situation for Cunningham altogether. I don't think Monty knew what he was doing down there. So I think again, he's a third option.
Yeah, you got to be able to prove on that, right?
Right. He's a third option. He's not bad as a third option, and it's what 2 years, $52 million. He's not killing your cap, and it's a movable contract if you got to get off it.
Do you think there's some? I mean, because do you think he was kind of demonized in the Philly for that contract because the contract was just a little bit richer than what he deserved? Because I think this, when you look at this contract, people might think that okay, this is more in line with what we feel you deserve. You know, a 2-year 52. And some people might feel like even that's too much, but he's not a terrible player. But maybe the contract was just so rich, it just felt and a player they could have kept because I think they could have kept Jimmy B.
They could have kept Jimmy. They could have.
And I think that's always a comparison, and we see how that kind of turned out. So, do you think maybe it's a redemption here for him here in Detroit?
Yeah, like I said, he's not a bad third option. He's a good shooter. He kind of gets lost on the defense side of the ball, but he can at least get you some buckets. You know, so not a bad pickup for that dollar amount.
All right. Everything the Thunder do, man.
My God.
Everything
when I saw this, I texted you, right?
Yeah, man. You said championship, here we come.
Here we come. Or at least finals. What a great pickup. Oh my gosh.
3-year, 87. But somebody was, or not somebody, a lot of people were saying that he was going to get the bag anyway from somebody. So it's not a surprise. It's interesting to see where certain players land, but it's not a surprise that they land somewhere when you hear that their services are in demand and people want them on several different teams. I like this, but I like everything that the Thunder have done the last few years. What do you like about it so much for you?
That's what was the missing last year, right? Why didn't they go do this for the trade deadline? I mean, and look at they were like what 4 to 5 rebounds away from possibly beating Dallas last year. They were just missing that big man. They needed that presence in the center, in the middle, to be that rim protector, and he is it. And it's like doesn't he just like fit what the Oklahoma City do? I mean, it's like one of you, like you said, no brainer. And it's like when they got Caruso, no brainer. It's like, of course Caruso's going to be with OKC. Of course.
Right.
So it's just hard to say it's going to be with OKC. It's like, it was like no brainer guys, it's like guys they get all the time, either via draft or a trade or picking up free agency.
Do you hope that Holmgren could grow into something like that? Like he can grow into being, because he's a pretty versatile all around player. That was a great pickup for them. Would have been a rookie of the year if not for Wemby.
Yeah.
Do you think he can grow into being that kind of rim protecting type players also?
I think so.
Now that takes that kind of off of his plate and he can kind of stretch the floor a little bit more.
Maybe stretch it to the floor, so maybe he can grow into it next couple of, he's like 3 years. So yeah, I like to see put a little more muscle on him. Hit the gym a little bit, but I mean, regardless, now it kind of takes that pressure off Chet where he can stretch the floor. It just makes their team just so much better. Like it's just like that one person, that one piece. It's like, oh, you thought the Thunder were good this year? Wait till next year.
All right, let's see who else we got here. DeAnthony Melton, not nearly as exciting of an addition here. There's no knock on DeAnthony Melton, but I'm just saying I like the Hartenstein addition much more. Sounds with the Warriors. It looks like it's a 1-year deal, 12.8. Any thoughts on that?
No, I don't know what the Warriors are doing. I'm still, I don't
not excited about that whatsoever. Is what it sounds
like. The Warriors to me are they are the same team they were last year. They're a playing team. They haven't done anything yet. Right now, presently constructed. All right,
Jalen Smith to the Bulls. Now, Bulls is an interesting case here because there's a 3-year, $27 million. That's not crazy.
No,
it's not a crazy. He's a young kid, so they appear to be in rebuild land because they're trying to deal Zach LaVine, and we know what that means.
Yeah, they tried to attach a pick with him and couldn't get rid of him. That's pretty bad.
Do you think he goes back?
Well, I mean,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
if we because when you say try to get rid of him, I mean why would you want to go back and play at a place that they're begging to get rid of you? Like it's not just they're trying to deal you. It's one thing to try to just say we'll take calls on you. It's another thing to say that we're desperately trying to deal you.
Yeah,
Do you think that he goes back?
Yeah, it was Chris Paul, and it was who else was it? I think it was Wiggins and maybe Kaminga or Moody or one of those guys. And they're like, oh, but we'll also throw in our pick. They're like, no, we're good, and they ended up waiving Chris Paul. So I was like, I think the Zach LaVine, I don't know where he goes.
That's just got to be just due to injury, though, right? He's a great player when healthy.
I mean, he's a player. I don't know if I call great. I mean, he's a guy.
You don't like him?
He's okay. Here's the thing. When your team gets better when you get injured, it's never a good sign. They got better when he got injured.
Really?
Yeah, it's never a good sign.
All right, so I'll just put them up here. Let's pop those stats up. I mean, 19 and a half, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 45% shoot. That's not terrible. I mean, he doesn't like a bum.
Not a bum, but not a winning player. That's your ratio. Yeah, 33% from. That's a ball game. That's not that. I thought that was 34% from 3. That's not bad, but yeah, I don't know. It's just he's
not
okay
doing
guy.
it for you.
No. He's kind of my meth guy. Yeah, him and Trae Young can be on a team together.
Well, that means you're definitely out of Trae Young too. How did he catch the straight? I mean, are you saying that Atlanta should just blow it up while we're there? While we're here, we might as well talk about that. Are you just saying that we should just join the Bulls and just blow it up also?
It's just watching that. It's hard to watch that last playoff game, and it was like every Traeism, and yes, I'm turning that into a word, was on full display. From his lack of defense to his lack of trying to get anyone else involved, coming up injury, just putting up shots when the shot clock is not even close to being below 10. And it was everything that just drove you nuts about Trae into one game. So it's just really hard for me to get past that. And plus, again, there's my theory again. The team, he's a 500 player when he's on the team. They were 500 when he was injured. And the defense I'm not saying they were like Chicago Bulls defensive, the year when they won the 70+ games. That was a great defensive team. I'm not saying the defense got like that, but it got marginally better when he was out of the lineup.
Man.
And they're 500. So what's the point? We have a 500 team with him on it, and he's still on the team. How are we gonna get any better? I guess that's my question.
So are you ready to just put on the seasons? What it sounds like? It sounds like this season's already over for you. It sounds like you're waiting for the 2025.
I
NBA
really
draft.
am.
That's what it sounds like.
I just kind of want to see. I mean, I'm gonna go in. I'll try to go in half past full with this team starting with, but I just when you see what everyone else is doing, it's hard to get excited. When you see what the Sixers, what the Knicks did, what all these other teams are, what OKC is doing, and it's hard. Look at Minnesota getting another guy from the draft, and it's like, hey, take our 30 and 31, 2030 and 2031 Spurs. Here you go, Spurs. We don't care about that. We're going to be good for the next 8 years because we have the guy we want to build around. I just don't know if we have I don't feel like we have that
guy. Let's talk about the Paul George contract.
Oh, love it.
The 4-year, $212 max, without a great deal, without a doubt. Paul George playing some of the best basketball of his career right now in some ways. And at 34, I think he can play through this contract for sure. And this is just yet another great player that Embiid gets to play with. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you got that 2-year window, right? Because you don't know with Embiid how he's going to be in 2 years. So I like it. You're going. I love it. You're going after it, right? You're in the East. You're the number 1. You're the number 3 team right now, right?
Right.
You
had to do something.
Had to do something. I mean, and kudos to Daryl Morey. He's like revamped that team 3 times now since he's been there. I mean, I love Paul George. I like that he doesn't have to be kind of that he could be kind of that third person, and then maybe he jumps in on the Knights win because there's gonna be a night when Embiid's injured. It's not gonna.
Right.
It's not an if. It's not a if. It's a win.
Like it's just a matter of time. I mean,
right.
Given track record, it's not something that you kind of wish on a player.
No.
But given track record is something that you have to take into consideration, right?
Right. So I just like I said, it's just I am jealous of all these teams that are getting better, and we're just kind of stuck where we are. And I love it for Philadelphia.
It's kind of like looking out the window, seeing all the other kids play, right? And you're just kind of stuck inside.
Yeah.
And maybe one day, I will be out there. Maybe one day we will be. It depends on a lot of the draft picks kind of working out. And that's kind of the problem, right? Because that can be a project in of itself. It could take 2 or 3 years just to see that kind of develop. So even going that route, it's a lengthy road. And if we keep Trey, at least it's entertaining during that road, right? I mean,
true. Yeah. Yes. No. And I guess around. I don't want to like talk bad about it because I have a Trey Young shirt. I love the one thing I do love about the guy is fearless. The guy will go into any arena and he'll put on a show, and he'll stand by it, right? He destroyed the Knicks the year we went to the Eastern Conference Final. Like he owned them, and that's hard to do in that stadium. I'm sorry, in that arena. So, but we just kind of see what he is, right? It's like we just haven't seen NBA players change. They kind of, if they show us who they are, and we keep expecting them to change, it just doesn't happen. Like he kind of is what he is at this point. He's a ball dominant guy, and I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but it never translates to wins in the NBA. We haven't seen it. Or winning basketball, I should say. It translates to wins, but not winning basketball.
What are your thoughts then on the Paul George trade from the Clippers side? Because I think that if anything's sad about this, it's gonna be OKC getting SGA. I mean, you giving up Paul George, and I remember asking you before if OKC would regret this trade, because if for people who don't know. It wasn't just Paul George that had gone to the Clippers at the time. It was for Kawhi Leonard as well. So it was for both players because Kawhi wanted, I think it was to get Kawhi to come play there also. So it wasn't just for one player. That being said, a few years down the line, you've broken this thing up. And SGA, if I am OKC, I'm looking to lock that down for another decade or so. What are your thoughts on that? That side of the situation.
Oh, and then the cherry on the top is right. They have 2 more picks. They have 2 more of those picks from the Paul George, right? So that the next year.
Oh, they can just rebuild their team, man.
Right. Rebuilding. They can just keep rebuilding and get another piece. But I mean, it's gonna probably go down. I mean, I can't think of a worse NBA trade, especially if they go to the finals this year. If they go to let's just say, I gotta say finals because at least Paul George took the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals, right? So yeah, I mean, I guess if you're carrying a resume.
Wait, did they go to the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, the second year they went to the Western Conference Final.
Okay, there we go. I mean, you got that.
You got that.
But do you switch that for SGA?
No.
Still have an SGA on the team.
No, I don't think so. I think I'd rather. You keep SGA, right? Yeah, all day long.
And then if those picks, depending on who those picks, because the OKC seems to be very competent. That front office seems to be very competent there. So it depends on who those picks turn into. That's how you kind of sum up the trade, right? So years on the line, those picks are done. That trade gets finalized. You look at who you picked with those picks, and then you kind of sum up of all those players versus the player that you gave up. I mean, it still got Kawhi. Kawhi came in that you kind of have to add Kawhi in there, in my opinion, because he kind of came in there as kind of part of that deal, and Kawhi is still there in LA. Do you think that changes any of the calculus there, or do you still think that, man, even given what Kawhi being there, things didn't work out, they'd rather have SGA?
I think you'd just rather have SGA. But again, to their credit, you didn't know it. SGA wasn't SGA at that time. It was
budding player.
Looked, right. It looked like, oh, it kind of like it had that Maxey feel, that type Maxey feel to it. Like, oh, you kind of see it, but it wasn't until like this last year we're like, oh my crap, Tyrese Maxey. Wow. You saw the glimpses. And again, I know they're different players, but I'm just saying, I remember like the optics. I remember going, wow, it felt like SGA just, as soon as he went to OKC, I know it didn't happen that way, but it felt like as soon as he went there, it's like, it just, you heard about this guy every night in and night out.
Man, it's I mean, I think it's a sad state of things here for the Clippers because they're gonna have to get somebody to play alongside Kawhi, because missing a player like Paul George, I don't even know if I don't think there's a Paul George out there to replace Paul George. Not in this free agency. I got to look at who's left, but I think that's it. It's a wrap. There's no Paul Georges out there.
No, unless you're trading for somebody, and now
so again, you just lost,
right? And so now you trade Paul, and what are you now? You're just kind of in that another one of those limbo teams, especially the West, is what you don't want to be. So now you're gonna be. So now you're into the Phoenix Suns, the Lakers, the Clippers, right? Now you're into those teams and now Gold State. What are we? We're kind of in this spot. Why every other team got better. Dallas is getting better. Minnesota's getting better. Denver, Denver's going to be there next year. So it's just like, it's in Oklahoma City. It's like you've fallen below that line now.
It's a big waiting to see, I guess, because as long as Kawhi is there, you can't really say they've fully committed to a rebuild. I think if you still hold on to your superstar most of the time, or at least when you see a team trade their superstar, it's kind of like the fully admit that a team is going to a rebuild. But if you kind of hold on to them, I don't know if you're kind of trying to keep some butts in the seat, so you keep some guy there in hopes that you could at least sell some tickets. Or because there's no realistic path there. We look at other teams and how great they're getting, like you said, and there not being a Paul George out there to replace what you just lost.
Right.
So it seems like you can only be worse. Maybe you get a couple players, maybe 2 or 3 players and work out for them. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't know who you're gonna bring in, but maybe they'll work something out. DeMar DeRozan being on the move is interesting. Wherever he goes, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I think that he would be a great piece on somebody's team. You think so?
Yeah, I agree. He's still got something, but again, does he want to go? Does he want to go on those teams and I don't know, and maybe have a chance at a playoff, or does he gotta go? I just don't. Well, the top teams I think have already got their team set. So, I mean, I know for sure he doesn't want to go back to Bulls. So, but do you want to go Lakers?
I mean,
yeah,
man, that's the Bulls are, man. What's worse like right now, the Bulls or the Pistons? And we'll wind this thing down.
I would just I like the Pistons upside. At least they have the young players. At least I see what they're doing, right? At least I see the young players. They got a better coach in there. At least I see the path. I can see what they're doing now. It makes sense. They have to pay Monty Williams all that money, which is not a good thing, but at least they really realize it sooner than later. So
right.
I would just rather
like Ivy, Cunningham, and the boys there.
I love those guys.
Just Kobe White on the other side. Maybe DeMar. If DeMar was there, you have DeMar, Kobe White.
I like Kobe White.
I mean, they had a better record than Detroit.
Yeah, obviously. but I don't know.
You would still take Detroit though, because you like at least where they're going. You feel like you can see the direction there.
I see the direction. I like the talent that they have. They have I think they have the better young skill players, obviously, than Chicago. I just don't know what Chicago's doing. But again, it is a better market with Chicago. I do have a better sports market there, so I can definitely turn around faster. So,
Right.
that's an interesting question. Which would you do?
It would be I'm kind of with you there because I like Ivy and Cunningham, and I think that's because Cunningham was a early or a first overall pick as well, wasn't he?
Yep.
So I think just due to injury, we wouldn't get a chance to really see how he really been. I think he played good out the gate. Injuries kind of derailed him. Maybe we get a chance to see how that looks if he could put together a couple of healthy years in a row and get some traction. And maybe with the team being better around them too, we get a chance to see how that works. And I think maybe that's what makes Detroit a little bit more appealing for me also.
Yeah.
The Bulls, the Zach LaVine situation. I like Zach LaVine as a player. I don't think he sucks or anything, but I think not having him on the court and paying him what you're paying him is definitely going to kill you, and you're going to have to pay him that because, of course, NBA. So that's not a situation I would envy being in. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm saying that Chicago's like a worse team, but I just like Detroit as the situation better.
Right. And I'd rather have to pay somebody because I could see a future with them versus paying a guy and going, well, we got to pay him because we just can't let him walk out the door. So I'd rather have that upside because, again, you don't want to be a kind of Bradley Beal, right? Going, well, let's sign him for this, but we know he's going to ask for a trade in a year type deal. So, yeah, it's an interesting conundrum both those franchises are in.
Just the stats. Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morgan. Check us out. Search iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, TikTok, as well as YouTube. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm hoping that we get some summer league basketball here. I would love to get some summer league basketball and some Olympic basketball. Wouldn't that be great if we can get both of those things going? There's a lot of basketball through the summer, and then we're right back near football season and takes us back into basketball season again.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Awesome. Yes, it will.